My name's Mackenzie, and I started a GoFundMe for the adoptive mother of a nonverbal autistic child. The mother had lost her job because she wasn't able to find adequate care for this autistic child. So she really needed some help with living expenses, paying some back bills. So I launched a GoFundMe to help support them during this crisis. And we raised about $10,000 within just a couple of months. I think that the surprising thing was by telling a clear story and just really being very clear about what we needed, we had some really generous donations from people who were really moved by the situation that this family was struggling with.
GoFundMe is the world's #1 fundraising platform trusted by over 200 million people. Start your GoFundMe today at GoFundMe.com. That's GoFundMe.com. GoFundMe.com. This podcast is supported by GoFundMe.
If you work in university maintenance, Grainger considers you an MVP because your playbook ensures your arena is always ready for tip-off. And Grainger is your trusted partner, offering the products you need all in one place, from HVAC and plumbing supplies to lighting and more, and all delivered with plenty of time left on the clock, so your team always gets the win. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, visit Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening, downloading, and subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I'm 12 Kyle. Check this out. On this podcast, we're going to talk about Black fatherhood. Now, for me, I think one of the things that actually stood out to me was something that I just kind of came to a realization just a couple of days ago. I was looking around and I was thinking about my close friends, the friends that I have in my crew. And I realized something about all of us. Everybody, to a man, of my closest male friends, all had their fathers in their life. And it's something that really stood out to me at that particular moment because it was something that I never really thought about, but everybody growing up had their father in their life. Even the friends that I had who parents weren't together. And so I said, you know what, that would be a great topic to talk about on the podcast. Black fatherhood. And since we're coming up on Father's Day at the time of this recording, I reached out to two of the homies, Dluvhall and EazyDuzItVa. And on this podcast, we talk about our journeys as young Black men into becoming Black fathers. And we also share some stories about what we learned from our fathers and how they helped mold us, and some funny stories as well. So sit back, relax. We'll drop the theme music and we'll get the podcast jumping. Let's get it. Welcome back. Once again, it's your boy 12 Kyle, the 12 Kyle podcast, and we're talking about Black fatherhood. And as I mentioned in the intro, we got two special guests. Now, if you've been following the podcast, you know these two guys. They've been on a couple of podcasts. The most recent one was the comical and controversial and funny podcast about Allen Iverson, Michael Jordan, and LeBron James. So without further ado, let me introduce my first guest. You know him, you love him. He's got an album out. Ladies and gentlemen, Dluvhall. Dluvhall, say what's up to the people.
What's up to the people? I mean, we're gonna keep doing this, man.
I mean, I got to give you a proper intro so the people know. The people who didn't hear those podcasts, they know who you are.
I very much appreciate it, my brother. How y'all doing this evening?
Hey, man. As always, man, glad to have you on. My second guest, again, no stranger to the podcast. You heard him on the last podcast. He went head to head with Allen Iverson. Ladies and gentlemen, my boy EazyDuzItVa, aka my boy Zell. Zell, what up, man?
What's up, man? Same old, man. Same old.
Yeah, man. We got a lot of positive feedback from last podcast, man. People really, really loved your story about you and Allen Iverson going head to head.
I'm sure they did.
Making the ball disappear. I listened to that podcast the other day, man, and I still was at my desk cracking the hell up. It's funny. So if for those of you listening, if you haven't heard that podcast, when you finish listening to this one, take a listen to that one. It's a two-parter. You'll enjoy it none the same. As I mentioned in the intro, we're talking about Black fatherhood. We're coming up at the time of this recording. We're coming up on Father's Day, and I for those of you who follow the podcast and you know me, you know that Dluvhall, aka Derek, and EazyDuzItVa, aka Zell, these are two of my childhood friends. And what I was doing was, like, the other day, I was kind of thinking about my childhood, and I thought about these guys because I thought about, like, our crew of everybody that, I consider to be crew. And I looked around, and everybody in my crew, I noticed had one common thing. We all had our fathers in our lives. And, like, we all grew up with our fathers in our lives. So there was nobody that I could kind of point to and say, okay, well, he didn't have a dad, or he didn't know who his dad is, or anything like that. So, and while that seemed to be, I guess, the norm for us, I really didn't meet a lot of people that didn't know who their fathers were until I got to, like, I guess, college, I guess. But, for the most part, most of the people that I knew and that hung around with, either if their parents weren't together, they still were, their fathers took an active role in their lives. So got me to thinking about fatherhood and being a father as myself. So I wanted to get these cats on so we could talk about fatherhood. We'll talk a little bit about our fathers. We'll talk about, our our journey as fathers as well. So it's going to be an entertaining podcast nonetheless. So I guess we should start right there from the beginning, man. And Zell, I'll start first with you, man. For those listening who don't know your father, just describe your father. What kind of man was your father, and what did he mean to you?
Well, my dad was like, I think at one point in time, I think, Kyle, I was listening to your podcast a while back when you had Blog Talk Radio.
Back in the day.
I recall, I forgot the young lady's name. I believe it was Sweet Stiletto.
Okay.
And she was talking about love language.
Right.
And she talked about how in relationships there are different love languages that are expressed by individuals, and a lot of times people don't understand each other's love language. Therefore, there's a breakdown because that's not their definition of love. So my dad's love language is different because he was very like a provider, mm-hmm. and he was very functional, very black and white, not very much emotion. I think men from that era, my dad passed away last year. He was 86 when he passed away. But men that come from that era, they, whatever they have seen, they have a little different emotional, their emotional intelligence is a little different. They're not very vulnerable. Right, you know what I'm saying? I can tell you on one hand how many times I've seen my dad even actually shed a tear, actually shed a tear. So, so his love language, man, like, for example, if you come home and, you come home to visit, he'll slide $20 in your hand and put some gas in the car. That was his thing. I call home with some problems and I'd be all upset and fussing and, oh my God, this, that, and the third. When I was emotional, he'll say, hold on, let me let you talk to your mama. You know what I'm saying? I say, but then when it was time to make a decision on something, when it was time to, hey, this is what I'm going to do, then he was back into the picture. He just didn't do a whole lot of the emotional thing. He just, he kind of was a problem solver, and what you going to do about it? That was his response to me every time I complained. What you going to do about it?
Okay.
What you going to do about it? So he was that type of dad, man. I miss him. And he was one of those guys that, I don't know anything about masculinity without him.
Okay.
And so for people who don't have, father figures, man, it's amazing sometimes how you can even structure and understand the depths of your masculinity. I mean, how can you understand when you've never really seen it? All you've seen is versions of it through television or through a neighbor or through an uncle or something like that, and not being able to have that accessible to you day to day. I mean, that can be problematic as you become a man. It can be, because you don't know where to draw from, where you're drawing from. But my dad was that type of dude, man. He was a, hard-working provider, and he handled his business.
No doubt. What about you, D? Tell the people a little bit about your father.
We always, all us three, we always have these conversations, right? And you never send us what we're going to talk about because we're not going to study it.
Right.
That's always funny. But what's funny about this particular situation or this topic is I was just having this conversation with someone last week who was speaking about fathers, in particular black fathers, not being around. Mm-hmm. And I told them I apologize that all of my friends I grew up with had their fathers. It's amazing that you actually talked about that. I just talked about this last week. That all of my friends, that all of my closest crew members, we all had our fathers. So I apologize that you don't know what that's like. You can't keep saying black fathers not around because all of my friends, all of our fathers were around. So that I'll start with that. Okay. In regards to my situation, I mean, I don't really talk about it much. It was a tough time. Contrary to popular belief, I had a father who stayed around when my parents split. My mom's dipped, and that was that was tricky. I'm gonna leave it at that. My father wasn't prepared to raise me as a single dad, so much like Mr. Washington, the emotional things, the emotional communications, I didn't get a lot of that. I got the real tough love. And growing up in Oakland Heights, it was like sometimes he had to do what he had to do, and I saw some things that was kind of, when I look back, I go, damn, wow, wow. But my father, for anything anybody thinks of him, my father was there for me way more than I ever knew. We have conversations now where he tells me that he came to games when I was in JV squad. He came to band competitions. He came to TI. I didn't know that because he wasn't the one to try to. He never talked about it. He never really expressed that. And much like Mr. Washington, I never saw my father shed a tear, even at his mother's funeral. He didn't shed a tear. That's just not who Dwight is. Y'all know Dwight. That's just not who he is. He don't show that. Now, the older that I get, the older that he and I get, and the more conversations we do have reflective moments where he'll remind me of something that I've tried to box in or box out from the world. And, he provides something for me now that I wouldn't even allow it to register when I was younger. I was so caught up in being angry with that situation that I probably blocked out a lot of what he was trying to provide. But the more we talk now and we reflect on things, my dad was there way more than I ever knew. And he's there now. During the rough times now, he's there. Right. I can call him anytime. I can talk to him. I can ride to the crib and just, get some good feedback. I don't always like it. I know how he is. I don't always know what he got to say. But sometimes he gives me that swift kick, even at 45. So, I mean, I'm very appreciative of the fact that he's admitted to me that when they split, he wasn't ready. He didn't know how to handle me. He didn't know how to handle being a single dad. He didn't have a great example of himself. But he knew how to work and he knew how to provide, and he did that in masses. He just did that, and it's good to know now that when I need him the most now, even at my age of 45, he's there. And he's always going to be there. And he's there for y'all.
Oh, no question.
I mean, he's always, how my man Zell doing. He got my bathroom drawn up yet. He's always doing that. I tried to call Kyle. He didn't answer his phone. He's always checking in on all of y'all because that's who he's always been in his own way.
Right.
So I'm very appreciative of what he represents as a father and as a man.
Yo, it's funny you mentioned that because I texted him the other day. And the question I asked him, I said, well, like, who is your top 5 NBA centers of all time? And I sent the text, and so I'm thinking he's going to text me back or whatever like that. He called me in like 2 minutes. And so I was at work. He was like, man, what's up? I was like, hey, what's up, Dwight? And he was like, yeah, I called you because I was going to put Olajuwon on my list, but I can't spell Olajuwon. So man, we had a nice conversation, man. So yeah, you both of you, and it's interesting hearing you guys talk about your dads because I see them through a different prism. Obviously, not because I saw him from afar, but like Zell's dad was always cool, man. I mean, like real soft spoken, but he was stern in the sense you can kind of tell like he was a no nonsense dad, but. Every time I saw him and every time he was around, he always made me feel like a son and made me feel comfortable in your home. And, same for Dwight, he cracks me up now. I mean, he's like a second father, and we'll text and he'll call me and we'll call each other at least once every 2 or 3 weeks. As far as my dad is, it's weird, man. 'Cause I remember when my brother and I were younger, my dad always told us, he said, when you get older, he said, I'll be more like your best friend than I am your dad. And that's really and truly how it is. If you followed me through these social mediums, you've seen my dad or heard my dad when I had the radio show, he'd call in and, my dad swear up and down he's hip. So he, if I'm talking about a rapper, he wanted, cause he told me, he's like, yeah, it's like, I want you to send me that Kendrick Lamar. I want to listen to see what he's rapping about. So he tries to stay up on rap and stuff like that. But he was as a father, man. He's been just growing up. He was stern and disciplinarian, but also he gave us a good example. I mean, he was just a friend, somebody we could talk to. Much like you, Zell, not a lot of emotion per se, but I do remember. I think the only time I ever saw him cry was when they told us that they were getting a divorce. But we were constantly loved, and we knew we were loved, and he would tell us that he loved us, and we even say that even more now so than we did when I was coming up. But man, my dad was the coolest, man. I mean, my Superman, and I tell people all the time, like I think for me he set the bar very high as a father, and I feel like. And I've said this, from day one, if I could be half the father that he was to me and my brother, then, I feel like I've accomplished as what I was set out to do as a father myself. And that doesn't have anything to do with X's and O's or, salaries or careers, anything like that, because, career wise, I've exceeded him, but I don't feel like, I still feel like I'm chasing him as far as, being a father and what I mean to my children as far as like what he meant to me and my brother and my sister for that matter too as well. So, but yeah, he's the coolest. He's the coolest. He's my Superman. I mean, it's even to this day, we talk every other day. If we don't talk, we text, and I'll call him, and if I'm not, and I pride myself on knowing a lot of stuff, but sometimes you don't have the answers. Sometimes you just need to talk. I'll call him and we just talk, and then there's other times where I call him. And he just talks, and when I call him and he just talks, trust me, like how you can just be riding and you're in a bad area, and you be in a bad area and you thinking, okay, this person's talking, I'm gonna lose the signal. Well, I lose the signal, come back, and he's still talking. He ain't even know I left. So he just, sometimes you just gotta let dad just go. But yeah, that's how my dad is as a father. Now, conversely. Zell, and I'll start with you. Describe you as a father. Who is Zell the father?
Sheesh. Man, I'm hard on myself, man. I'm probably the worst critic I probably criticize myself probably more than I should at times. But as a father, I think I'm very, I think I try to look at what my father did in terms of how he was as a parent and how he was as a man and what he did as a father to me. I try to look at that and take the good from it because, that part, there was some good to being, stern about your business, having a different kind of love language. And there were some other things like being emotionally available at times. Maybe that wasn't his strength, but I can't speak to why he was like that, but that's just the way it was. So I try to be a little more nurturing than my father and have a little more conversations. I tell my kids I love them out. My dad had a love, he expressed love, but he would never, my dad would, you walk out the house and like he'd give you a handshake. You know what I'm saying? Like, this nigga shake your hand, be like, all right, but it'd be like, you shake your hand like, so with just respect. Hugs. No, if you hug him, he probably look at you kind of crazy, like, you too close. You know what I'm saying? You're too close. So from that standpoint, I try to like fill in where I think, I think could be improved. The model can be improved from one generation to the next. Is being a little more understanding, having more conversations, telling my kids I love them. So I think from that standpoint, I'm dealing with a different dynamic now because I'm not the custodial parent. I'm a divorcee trying to co-parent, and that dynamic has its challenges. But I'm still able to impart, my wisdom on my children and try to at least give them a little bit of that Washington DNA. And so I try to do it all. Man. I try to be the stern, no nonsense, and also try to have fun with them and, let them know that it's okay to have fun. Sometimes you got to let your hair down. Everything ain't a rat race. Everything ain't a bill being paid. Everything ain't about that all the time. And you got to enjoy life, little doses at a time, man. If not, it'll fly by and, you don't get a chance to have these quality moments, these memories that you create with your kids. So, from that standpoint, I think I'm a pretty good father. And, the co-parenting thing is hard, but the fatherhood part, I think, has its rewards because you're not always on deck in a co-parenting dynamic. When you do have opportunities to be with your kids, you got to kind of make it work. You can't take it for granted. You got to try to enjoy them because, time flies. Next thing you know, they're going to have a license and rolling up. They're going to be leaving the crib and, they're going to be coming through, stealing food out your refrigerator and you ain't going to have no time with them, And okay as a father, man, and trying to improve on the model a little bit from what my father gave to me.
No doubt. What about you, D?
A lot of similarities in that. A whole lot of similarities. On my part, the co-parenting is a little easier on my side, but right. Everybody has their different dynamics, how they work on things. You try to be understanding because this new generation is mad tricky.
Right.
It's mad, and for anybody who tries to believe that it's not like it's like the 80s and the 70s how we came up, you are sadly mistaken. I try to give this warning to people who don't have kids yet, or they are so I want a baby so bad. Like, you better understand something. This new generation has so many tricks up their sleeves and so many opportunities to do the wrong thing. You got to be there more than you probably can be. You gotta work with other parents. You gotta coordinate a lot of secret meetings of how you're gonna cover some things. Because these kids nowadays, they have so many avenues to go wrong so quickly, so easily, that you got to stay on top of your game at all times. You don't have time to really be a half a parent anymore. You don't really have that luxury of being halfway there. You got to fully commit and then some nowadays, because if not, you're going to mess around and have an Instagram model. It happens quickly.
Oh,
I'm just saying.
Hey, I believe you. I believe you.
It can happen just like that. So, you got to stay on top of your game. And I try to, I try to take some of the lessons that Dwight instilled. I actually, I take a little bit from all of our parents, actually, because, when we all became crew, y'all's parents became my parents.
Right.
So I actually take a little bit from all of our parents to try to incorporate into mine, because there is no one right way to get it done. There's no one wrong way either, but there's definitely no one right way. And I often have to tell some of these guys who want to do this, I'm like, listen, man, you can listen to somebody and take their advice, but you still got to implement somewhat of who you are and your values and your core into your children, because they're going to carry your name. They're going when you're gone, they're going to be carrying your name. So you have to instill somewhat what you believe in them, even when they resist it. They're going to resist. No child is going to take in everything you try to feed them. It's not going to happen. Right. But you have to try to instill as much as you can core values into them, because at certain points they all leave. Just like Zeke said, they're going to leave. They're going to be driving off and coming back to the crib to the food. They're going to leave. You have to try your best to instill as many core values in them before they leave. And that's what I try to do, because Kaya's close. I know you already got one out. Yeah. Dion's out, so I know that. So sometimes I listen to you without telling you I'm listening to you, how y'all deal with Dion, because I'm close.
Yeah, man.
You know what I mean? So I got to make sure that when you, Tosh, y'all got kids that just left, I'm listening to y'all stories and taking that in, and I try to sometimes implement that into my style as well to get Kaya ready. So it's different things I try to do, but I always try to instill the best of me in them.
No doubt. That's a great point. Describe me as a father. I'm the reigning father of the year champion. Let me stop. I'm a little bit of everything, man. I'm definitely a lot like my dad. Just like the old saying, the apple don't fall far from the tree. I'm stern. I'm tough on him. Having 3 sons and a daughter, I'm very tough on them. But at the same time, I also give them room to, and it's interesting because, like, I was telling them the other day, I'm like, look, I give y'all the floor where y'all can express yourselves, where you can kind of talk back and say, how you feel. I was like, your grandmother and grandfather they ain't give us no floor. It was clean up your room, shut your mouth, or I'm gonna knock your ass out. That's what it was. But I'm loving. I'm like, Julius from Everybody Hates Chris mixed in with a little bit of Cliff Huxtable, with a little bit of Martin. So I'm stern. I'm funny. But I enjoy this time, especially as the kids are getting older, because, and one thing I've learned in fatherhood is that, with us having 4 children, and the biggest thing that I learned really quickly was that, unlike me and my brother, who are very similar, each of my 4 children are different, vastly different. So even how I parent them is different. Like, one I might be able to yell at. The other one you can't yell at. The other one you kind of gotta give him pats on the back to get him going. You know what I'm saying? The attaboys. And then it's almost like coaching. You have to kind of figure out which buttons you can push. And to be honest, kids are kids, so they figure out. And it's almost like some days they're plotting. Okay, which one of us want to piss dad off today? That type of thing. So. But no, I'm a little bit of everything with the kids. I think I try to make sure that I listen, and I'm talking to them constantly, and I give them the floor to talk and say what it is they have to say. I make sure that we spend time. Dinner time is like a huge thing for me. It's like for us that's the only time we all sit down and we can talk as a family. And we didn't really have that a lot when I was a kid, because your mom might be coming in, she might be cooking, and she might be going right back out to choir rehearsal, and dad might be getting off work or whatever like that. So we have a pretty even family structure here. But yeah, I'm and I mean, as the kids have gotten older, they'll tell you that dad tells stories. So they hear stories about what we used to do and, you know, this type of thing. And I almost have a story for just about every scenario that they ask me about. So at some point they're going to get tired of the stories, but right now I still hit them with the stories though. But yeah, that's me as a father, man. That's me as a father. So the next question I want to throw to you, D. Let's take it back, man. Let's take it back to what did you do when you first found out that your wife was pregnant? What was the first moment when you knew you was about to be a dad?
Wow. Oh my. This is gonna sound a little disingenuous.
Okay.
I don't remember.
Damn, D.
The moment that I found out she was pregnant.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I know that was some years ago.
Yeah, but I don't.
16 years ago.
16 years ago. I don't remember. I remember when she was going into labor.
Okay. Well, you give me that then.
But that's gonna sound funny to you because I had just left Atlanta. Yeah.
Was that when we were hanging out at
me and Zell had came down for...
Was that for my birthday party?
No.
Okay.
Cause we it might have, you know what? It might have been one of your birthday parties. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was. Yes, it was. Yes,
it was my birthday.
But it was in November, which I don't want. That's why it was so weird. It was November. It was
exactly. It was my birthday party in November. That's right.
Okay. Yeah. We were down there for that weekend, and when we came back, she went to labor that next day.
Wow.
Literally that next day. I remember that because I was back at the crib trying to put the crib together.
Hey, this is gonna sound crazy, but I didn't know she was. I didn't know you left your pregnant wife to come to my party.
Well, Kaya was a month early. She was a premium.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Her due date was December 22nd. She came November 26th. Okay. So that's why. And her mom, and her family was at the house when I was in Atlanta. We had it was all coordinated.
Okay. And for those of you listening, no, I didn't have Derek come to my party. This was a surprise party thrown for me. I had no clue. They knew about the party. I didn't.
It was all coordinated. Everything was coordinated. Okay. But when I got back that next day, we went to have a checkup, and the doctor said that the umbilical cord had wrapped around her neck, so she had to go into labor right then and there.
Wow.
So everything changed. Like everything flashed right then and there. I was like, oh shit,
this is about to go down.
Yeah. Whereas in my mind, we got a month left.
Right.
I got a month. So I remember that anxiety kicking in because it happened right then and there, and that anxiety kicked. And everything I thought I had planned in my head, I had to rush it. And then, my relaxed time and chill time was gone.
Right. And then when she got here, how did the world change?
I realized that for the first time, my life kind of meant more than what I was allowing myself to believe it was to be. Because you got to remember when I was going through my joint with my parents, I didn't know what I was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the Army and wilded out, jumped out of planes and helicopters because I just didn't give a fuck about nothing. I'm just going to do whatever I want to do. I'm crazy. I'm wild. And then when Kaya came, I realized that I got to back up, and everything that I've done, I got to wash that clean because everything I do from this point on is going to be about her and create a better life for her.
No doubt.
So it wasn't about just me just trying to. I was going through a time trying to wash out my old demons.
Gotcha.
And when she got here, I shut that whole thing down, and everything became about making things better, so she don't ever have to see what I had to see.
Gotcha. What about you, Zell? When you first found out that moment that pregnancy test came up positive?
Yeah, we actually we were kind of out in front of it because we were working on starting a family, so it wasn't like a shock or a oops or any of that.
So it was a planned skeet.
Yeah, man.
Planned skeet. Wow, I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, it was. I mean, because we, I think at the time we had gotten married. We waited. We wanted to wait a couple of years to get settled in before we started having kids, and that's exactly what we did. So, so it wasn't a shock when I heard the news. It's just like I think, like how Dee said, it's kind of acknowledging like your life is about to take a shift. Mm-hmm. And you just don't know how and what and when and where, but it's about to shift. You can't really prepare for it, but so much, you can have plans in your mind till the cows come home, but until you actually have to go through the day-to-day process of raising a child, that's the only real true understanding that you have of the impact. Mm-hmm. So, we anticipated it, but it's different when it actually comes and it's there and in the emergency room, and when she had the kid, it changed the way I saw the world. I mean, truly, like, Derek was jumping out of planes, but I probably was selfish as hell and just trying to, buy fresh jeans and polos. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was still trying to be fly. I wanted my fit to be right. I wanted the seams in my sneakers to look good. Like I was still thinking it was about, me. When you have a kid, you realize that, some of the little superficial, artificial things in your life, you gotta bump some of that down now. Right. So it's about Pampers and Similac and
child care,
and who going out this weekend. You can, what I mean? Like, you got weekend duty. You know what I'm saying?
Daddy duty.
Hey. Ain't nothing like having like back-to-back daddy duty weekends, but you be pouting after that second week. You be looking at your lady when she come in the house with your face be all types of balled up.
100% facts.
Especially when they babies and you got around, they got to change the pamper and feed them and all that, man. Like, yeah, man. And that's the one thing about my father. I'm going back now that I know was a big difference, when they came through in their generation, when it came to nurturing a child, I know it's a different day and time, but that was really, largely up to the women, what I'm saying?
Oh, no question. Yeah, I don't picture your dad as somebody in the back of the day changing no diapers.
Hey, so like when I used to have daddy duty weekends, bro.
He ain't understand.
The disgust in my father, bro. Yo, I used to feel so small. Because he used to be like, "You home with the kids again?" He like, damn, like, I mean, he used to like stutter and just get upset. Like, wait, where they mama at? You know what I'm saying? Hey, he be studying, be like, you don't know nothing about raising no children. You need to you don't know nothing about that. You don't get involved until they get a little older. You know what I'm saying? You just supposed to open up the door and bring in the groceries, my nigga. You changing no pamper. What you mean? My dad used to call when I had daddy duty, man. He used to be disappointed. Like,
my God.
You accept the duty willingly? I used to go at the daddy duty weekend, man. I used to try to punch my chest out like, I got to work next week. I got to get this stuff done. I can't be sitting around the house all weekend. And because I try to like, as my dad done punk me to stay home.
Oh my God. Your dad that's funny. That is so
funny. So for sure, man, having kids and adjusting to parenting and impact to your life is for real. So yeah, I definitely remember it.
Yeah, our situation was different. We weren't married at the time. Sharice was actually in college, and I was here in Atlanta, and she was at South Carolina State. And I remember she came here one weekend, and she was like, "I think I'm late." I was like, "Late for what?" And I remember she was like, I think my cycle is late because, it hadn't come on. And she'd been taking the pill. So I was like, we good. We good money. I mean, we've been dating for like 5 years now. It didn't matter. And what happened was she had some type of rash or something on her arm or something like this. So she had to take some antibiotics. And the antibiotics ended up killing the potency of the pill. So boom, boom, here we are. We're pregnant. So I remember I remember that moment, just looking at the thing, and that thing, I think it's supposed to turn blue. Man, that thing went from like pink to hot pink. And then when it turned to like hot pink, I was getting excited. I was like, oh, we straight. Man, that thing turned to like Carolina blue, Crip blue. It was like Dodger blue. I was like, oh, damn. And so we just our first reaction, we just looked at each other and just started laughing. Like, we just looked at each other and we laughed for about 5 minutes, man. We were just so, and I don't even know, to be honest, I don't even know why we were laughing, but we were just happy. It wasn't anything we were planning, but I had already graduated and moved to Atlanta and, kind of gotten settled here and everything. But having Dion, what that taught me, like you said, I saw the world totally different. He was the most important thing in my life, and still is. And how I view the world, and like you said, I was trying to take over Atlanta. I was trying to take over Atlanta, and I realized, like, okay, you can't be a media mogul. You can't, you ain't gonna make all the money. You're gonna have to, provide for this child, and do what you're supposed to do, and be in his life, and do the right thing, and just be the example that you need him to be for him. You need to be the man that you need to be for him. And it just kind of took off from there. But having a child, it was a beautiful experience, and I'll never forget that. And it changed my life, and again, changed the way I looked at the world, and also kind of changed how I moved in the world too. Because when you got kids, you just realize, just some stuff you think about other people. You don't think about yourself. You know what I'm saying? So. Yeah, I still wanted to go in Foot Locker and get J's, but, if I got J's, I had to get him some J's. So, it's like that. Or maybe I'll go get him some J's and don't get me no J's. So, you just think about your kids first. And it's innate, and that's what we do now. We still put our kids first, so we'll make sacrifices. And, it's the same sacrifices our parents made for us. Let's take it back. D, give us a funny moment, or one of the funniest moments you remember with your dad.
Oh, funny moments. We don't have a lot of funny moments.
Y'all got some funny.
You mean like when I was growing up?
Growing up, or even as an adult.
I tell you what. When I joined the Army, right? I was 18 when I went to take my physical and all that, so I didn't need his permission to sign up. And I was so determined to leave Florence because I initially wanted to join the Air Force. But I couldn't wait for the Air Force to respond to my ASVAB test, so I went with the first one, which is the Army. I went to Columbia to take the physical and look at what they had to offer. Before I left, Dwight was like, listen, go take the physical, see what they're offering, but don't sign shit. Don't you sign a damn thing. And I was like, all right, whatever, I ain't going to sign it. Man, I couldn't sign it fast enough. I signed that joint as soon as they made the first offer. They said when you can leave. I was like a week later, they're like, all right, we got you. I signed up. I got home that night. And I showed him the paperwork, and he didn't say a word to me, right?
Wow.
He looked at it. He saw that I signed it. I probably had an evil smirk like, yeah, take that. And he gave me a look like, okay. The next day, he went to the recruiter's office, and he threatened the recruiter to kill him.
Are you serious?
The next day, he went to the recruiter's office, and he threatened to kill him for having his son sign papers that he didn't know he was signing. And they had to get him up out of there.
Oh, that's funny.
And I don't know if he ever really forgave me for doing that particular move, but I was 18, so I was thinking I'm tough.
Right.
And he didn't want to do that to me that night. He didn't say a word. I know how he didn't say a word to me.
So
he saw the paperwork.
You knew he was mad.
He handed it to me and left, and I thought, oh, shit. I at least wanted him to say something. He didn't say a word to me. But that next day, he went to the recruiter's office and threatened him, and then came back and let me know, yeah, I was going to kill you, little recruiter. And I was like, what you talking about? Yeah, I went to the recruiter. I was going to kill him. I was going to get my hands on him. I was going to kill him for making you sign that paperwork. And I was like, oh, okay. That might have been the first time I realized that he was really off.
Yeah.
He had hidden it well before then, but that moment he let me know, like, yeah, I'll do something.
Wow. That is funny. I never heard that story. That is funny.
I don't talk about that one because he don't really let nobody know that he did that. But yeah, he went up there and threatened him.
Well, I hope he hears this podcast.
Listen, it's factual. What he gonna do to me now?
Yeah.
You know? What he gonna say to me?
I know he gonna hear it. What about you, sir? Any funny moments from your dad?
Funny moments. I got a few, man. I think y'all might have heard this one before. I know they spoke to this at his funeral, and I think I've mentioned it again at their 50th wedding anniversary during that celebration they had. But my dad was like, he was a little bit militant. I mean, he definitely was, older man, and at his age, he's seen a lot in terms of like racial injustice and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And so he always was a very, he questioned the man. You know what I'm saying?
We know.
Yeah, significant questions for the man. So one thing back in the days, man, my dad used to, we used to go. I remember the Kroger over there on Evans, where the Kroger was. There used to be the high grocery store at one time, as far as newness and. Had the dope produce, that kind of stuff. and look, man, we in the joint, and my dad, like $100 worth of groceries back then was like a buggy full of crap.
Right.
$100 worth of groceries now is, pretty much a third of your buggy is full. That's $100. Yeah. And my dad used to fill up the buggy with groceries. We used to go do the big shopping, and then they would, he would write a check, and they would want to check his ID. So he would always give them a hard time. He was like, man, either you're going to take this check or you ain't taking nothing. This is all you getting. All the information is on the check, Jack. You ain't getting nothing else from me. So one day we in the grocery store, and the lady before my father, she wrote a check. The little white boy took the check, ran it through the little machine, gave her a receipt, have a good day. So my dad came in with a hell of groceries, though. You know what I'm saying? Black man with like $100 and something worth of groceries, right? So he pulled up in the joint, and so my dad already made a mental note and asked that lady for her ID. Mm-hmm. So it was a white lady. So then he came through, and then the man rung up all the groceries. My dad went over and wrote the check, gave it to him. And then he said, I need to see your ID. He said, you won't be seeing my ID today. You didn't check that lady's ID. That's all I'm giving you. They said, it's still a policy. He said, it can't be a policy you enforce because, you ain't check her. And then he said, you know what? I don't even wrote the groceries. So they had to unpack all of that. And he said, give me my check. And, he said, y'all have a good day, because if you can't accept my check for what it is, you know what I'm saying, it won't be no groceries being brought today. And he walked right up out of there. My dad used to go to Kentucky Fried Chicken and get the 10-piece, and then he'll eat probably 3 or 4 pieces and then take the damn chicken back and tell them they ain't giving the right mix. Y'all niggas say, I asked for 2 bread thighs. That nigga be like, ate the breast and all half a wing and everything, and then he'll go take it back. Say the mix wasn't right. I said, I ain't gonna eat the breast first, dog. He's like, so my dad had a couple of moments where I was like, man, you can't be serious. But he would give, like, when it came to anything that he felt like, wasn't being treated fair, he would speak to it, and some of the situations was funny. Some of them was serious. My dad used to go to basketball games when I used to play rec. He never sat in the stands. He would stand in the corner. He never sat in the stands. He would stand in an area in the gym, and he would make this noise. And every time I got the ball, he would say, yep. Like, yep. I'm like, in my brain, I know that's my daddy. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I be on the floor like, yo, this nigga is saying, yeah. And I'm like, what are you doing? And to this day, I don't know if, me and Rod Woods, we played on the same rec league team for about 2-3 years straight. And And Rod always tells a story about every time I see Rod to this day, he'll tell me the story about him and my dad say, yep. But I don't know if that was his way of telling me he was there.
Yeah.
But he used to make that noise and all the players would laugh. Be like, yo, man, what your daddy be doing? Yep. I'd be like, that's just him, man. But yeah, he had a couple of quirky things like that, man, that I remember that I thought was funny, but he was game face. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, tell the truth. When Zenda start playing ball, you gonna do the same thing.
Nah, I ain't gonna yell. I got a different understanding. My dad ain't care nothing about no basketball. Only, you know what I'm saying? So he ain't really, he just wanted to see us win. He ain't really care about my crossover dribble being low.
Right. Man, I'm trying to think. What a funny moment. One of the funniest moments, man, you guys know, and everybody listening probably heard me talk about it before. I played football, and my dad was my coach. I started playing organized football at 8 years old, and I played receiver. And so I remember one day, man, we were just playing catch or whatever. My dad was living in these apartments. This was after my parents divorced, and so we were playing catch. And I'm catching the ball, and he was like, well, you need to start running some routes. You need to practice running your routes. And I was like, okay. So I'm running routes. I'm doing different routes in the route tree or whatever. And, so it got to a point where after a while, because keep in mind now, it's just me and him, right? So I'm the only one running routes. So, after a while as a child, you're going to get tired, right? So I guess I wasn't running the routes right or whatever. And so he starts fussing. Hey, man, you need to hustle. You're not hustling, and that was one of the things that he used to get on me in practice about. He said, because I would be loafing, and, with him being the coach, if I'm dogging it in practice, he got to, he's not going to he's going to be hard on me in practice than he is any other kid because he don't want to show any type of favoritism. So I was, kind of jogging back or whatever because to be honest, I was tired. And so he was showing me how to run a post route. He was like, you run a post route like this. So he ran the post route and ran it. I threw in the ball. And so the next route was an end cut. So you basically just go up 10 yards and then come straight across the middle. And so by this time I'm tired. I don't want to run an end cut. So he made me run it. I ran it like 3 times back to back. And he was getting on me about coming out of my break. So, excuse me. So I'm tired, right? So he was like, I tell you what, I'm going to show you how to do it. And so he lines up, I snap the ball, he goes running. And I guess he didn't realize, but he was getting kind of deep. And he lived in this apartment complex, and there was this little small tree near where we were playing. And he ran his route a little deeper than he should have. And, man, I didn't throw the ball at the tree, but I threw the ball near the tree. And he ran right into the tree. Oh, my God, man. I ain't even asked if he was okay. I just started laughing. Because, if you saw it from the outside, it looked like I set him up. I really didn't set him up because that tree ain't moved. But, man, he ran into that tree, and all you heard was, thump. He hit that tree so hard, man. He sprained his thumbs. We had to go in the house, and he had to put ice on his thumb. And so he was all mad, and I was thinking to myself, man, hey, man, that's what you get. We could have been done 10 minutes ago, but you still want to run routes. So that was a funny moment. Another funny moment, actually, Zell, you was a part of this. I'm gonna trigger your memory. I know you remember this. One of the I guess rites of passage in a young boy's life is to go up against his dad in any kind of sporting event and win, or at least play against them. And my dad had been talking all kind of trash about playing hoops or whatever like that. So I said, well, Dad, I'm a young boy. I'm about 15, 16 at this point. And I said, Dad, man, I could beat you one-on-one. I could beat you. I said, he was like, man, I ain't going to play you one-on-one because you jump high. He was like, you do this and you do that. I'm not going to play against you. He said, I tell you what, you get 2 of your boys and I'll get 2 of my coworkers and I'll come over to the house. I'll come over to your house and we'll play. And I said, okay. I said, I'm going to get Zell and I'll get Tutu. That was my boy that lived down the street, a couple of houses down. And so my dad gets 2 of his coworkers. and it's gonna be a 3-on-3 match. Him and his coworkers against me, Zell, and Tutu. Now, you guys listen to the podcast know that Zell can hoop and Tutu can hoop. I'm decent, right? So, man, this dude, my dad comes over, his coworkers come over. One dude, he gets out the car, he looking like Elgin Baylor. he got like 7 elbow pads on. He got knee pads on. He got an arm pad on, and he got goggles on like James Worthy. And the other dude, he was looking like a stiff. He looked like Lurch. And I looked at Zell. Zell looked at Tutu. He was like, man, we about to run these fools. And, man, they got the ball first, and I think they missed the shot. And then so I remember taking the ball out. I threw it to Zell. Bucket.
On the track.
Took the ball again. Gave it to Tutu. Bucket. And then next thing I know, man, we start running plays. Man, we ran them. We beat them. We were going to 15 by ones. We beat them 15-1. Ran them off the court. My dad huffing. The game over. My dad huffing and puffing. Me and Zell and Tutu, man, we straight. Because again, we're 16. We couldn't have been no more than 16. Tutu was 15. They huffing and puffing. Dad, run it back. Played them again. 15-1. Hey, y'all want to play again? Nah, man, we going to work. We got to go to work tomorrow. We go home. My dad wanted to play another game, but his coworkers like, nah, we tired. Man, that was so much fun. I bragged, and I was like, Dad, you can't ever get on the court with me. That was the only time I was allowed to talk trash to my father, but I talk trash, man. But and to be honest with all of you, I ain't really score a lot of points. It was mostly Zell. Zell was jab stepping and crossover, and it was funny because like one time they threw the ball in down low the dude, the big lurch looking dude, and he tried to back Zell down. Zell stole the ball from him, stepped out, hit the three. I was like, man, it was so funny, man. So for those of you listening, there's nothing like beating your father, you know, in a sport. And even to this day with my boys, they want to play me one-on-one. Nah, because they could probably win now. I ain't playing them. I won't even play them in Madden. I don't even want to play them in Madden. They want to play me in Madden right now. I don't even let them do it. So yeah, that was another funny memory, man. Just, you know, going one-on-one. You remember that, Zell?
Vaguely, I remember your dad. I don't remember all the details like the pads and the lurch.
I remember.
I remember playing though. I remember something like that happening. I just don't remember how disrespectful it was. I could remember it was 15-1, 51. I didn't remember that, but I knew there was a game, and I remember it wasn't too pretty. I did remember that.
I think the second game you scored like the first 7 points. I mean, like it wasn't even the jumper was just so wet. I mean, like, man, we had so much fun, man. And like I said, I talk trash to my dad forever. In fact, when I get off this podcast, I'm gonna call him and remind him how we ran him off the court that day. Next question I want to ask you guys: the father-daughter bond. Now, you two have daughters. I have a daughter as well. Derek has 2 daughters. Zell has a daughter and a son. And I had my 3 sons, and then my daughter was the last child that we had. Y'all didn't tell me about this.
Yes, we did.
Y'all didn't tell me it was gonna be like this, though.
You was in the bliss of having boys. You just ain't listening.
Yes, sir. We did. Yes, we did.
Y'all didn't tell me it's gonna be like this, man.
Yes, we did. And you still got a long way to go.
And I'm gonna be leaning in y'all, man, because she's only 7.
That's right.
And y'all have you got teenagers. You got a preteen, Zell. I mean, what is it with this father-daughter bond? D, I'll start with you. What is this? This bond is very special. And what makes it so special?
Well, from my personal experience, I think it's what you make it. I mean, there's a I don't want to call it a myth, but there's this saying that, you know, girls are daddy's girls, all that's the daddy's girls. Mm-hmm. Well, I think that the father still has to make an effort to show what a man is supposed to be. Mm. You can't just have the daughter and just think you're going to automatically have that. That's just my personal opinion. Now, some they may try to fight that because they don't want to do the work. But in my personal experience, you got to put in the work. Kaya is very much like me. Very much like me. She's a little too much like me, actually. She's scarily like me. She says things sometimes, and I just kind of laugh on the inside thinking, I never said it around her. But I've had to have said it around her because she thinks just like me. So I think you got to put in that work. You got to pay attention to what their needs are, and you got to kind of cater to it, but still have that stern, backing. Like there's people who thought because I was so mean and anal that, oh, you have a daughter, you're going to change. It's almost as if I took offense to that. So I was harder on Kaya in the beginning because I didn't want people to think I was a punk now. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And when people was like, man, that's a girl, I used to go, no, she's not a girl, she's a child. That's where y'all fall off at. Y'all keep thinking that girls and boys are different when it comes to discipline. It's not different. I had to discipline Kaya and eventually Erica in the same ways I would discipline anyone. I was never trying to kill them, but I had to lay that discipline down. And luckily for me, their mother was in line with me in doing that. But girls, man, I can't speak for boys. I have no sons, at least that I know of. I don't know about that. Girls, man, there are so many little traps. There are so many little, like, boys. When Kaya started liking boys, I used to listen to her talk about the boys, and I used to be like, oh, you're so stupid. My daughter could be smarter than this. You got to have game. You can't be letting these little boys run game on you, little dusty-ass boys running game on you. I was taking offense to how soft she was, but then I had to remember, that's when I had to remember that she is a girl.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? When she was a baby, I treated her the same. But the older she got, the more she's tried to start developing emotions. I had to peel back a little bit and be a little bit more sensitive to her needs from the perspective of her liking boys and boys doing what boys do. But that she, the world over. My boyfriend, we broke up, and the world's over. I was like, shut up.
You can't say that, D.
I know. I never said it out loud, but in my mind, I was like, come on, you my daughter. What you doing? Why you crying over that little punk? But it was I say it's a bit humbling because you think that because you instill these things in your children that they're going to automatically pick it up. Mm-hmm. And when they don't automatically pick everything up, it reminds you that you never stop working on that. Mm-hmm. Because some people raise kids to a certain point and they're like, I've done my job, I'm done, I'm going to the bar, I did my part. No, actually it never really stops. And until you experience it, I don't think you can really relate to it. Never does stop. The teachings never stop. The nurturing never stops. The being there for them, it never stops. It's a never-ending cycle if you're dedicated to what it is. I hate to call it a job because, you can quit a job and all that. You really shouldn't quit parenting. No. That's just not a thing. You should look at it as a job. I look at it as I made a choice to bring them into this world. They didn't choose that. I made that choice. It's my responsibility to do the best I can to provide everything I can for them. When it comes to having girls, I'm just speaking from my perspective, I had to find a level of nurturing that I didn't know I had. Mm. I've dealt with women, I've dealt with I've done all that stuff that's like done. But when it comes to being a true live nurturer, I had to peel back some of my layers and let that out because I was always guarded with mine as well. Mm. But I had to show them that I could be vulnerable so that they would feel comfortable being vulnerable to me. Because the worst thing that can happen is they're going through a situation and they don't feel comfortable talking to you about it, coming to you to tell you what's going on. And that was Kaya for a while. She boxed it in as well. I had to peel back a lot of my layers to let her know, hey, listen, yeah, I don't like it, but I'm not upset with you. Let's work through this. Mm-hmm. I'm going to nurture you through this. I'm going to be your nurturer as well. I love you to death. Mm-hmm. I love you to life. So I'm going to be there, but I can't be there unless you allow me to be there. But at the same token, I had to make her feel comfortable allowing me in that space as well. So it was a little different for me because I don't have a boy to practice on. I don't have anybody to be tough and get your ass in the lane and turn around and shut up. I had to really peel back a lot of what I thought I was and realize that I couldn't be that person with my daughters.
Gotcha. What about you, Zell? The father-daughter bond.
Man, yeah, it's different, as they say. I mean, for most daughters, I mean, their father is going to be their first quote unquote boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? Like you become the first example of a man that they see, and whether they understand it while they're experiencing that, they probably don't. But it plays itself out as you become an adult, as you find mates for yourself. How you compare them to your father. All these things happen, in their lives. So that bond, is going to carry. It's going to go a long way with your daughter. She's going to live the rest of her life always comparing everybody to their dad. That's just how life is when it comes to daughters. But yeah, the bond is there. I mean, me and Zaria, we have a first of all, everybody says she look just like me. So then
she really looks like your sister too.
Yeah,
she look like you and your sister.
Yeah, so you got that element. She be looking like, and then we got the element of, we've been through some moments, just tough moments as father and daughter. So my bond with my daughter is a little different because I spent maybe 2 or 3 years, actually 3 years away. And then I'm back in her life now on a more consistent basis. And, I just provide a different kind of relationship because it's just, when you're in a co-parenting dynamic and sometimes you don't always have the comprehensive parenting, philosophy. Right. There could be a philosophy on one side that doesn't play out on the other side. It's a little bit inconsistent in my life, but, it's not a bad thing. It's just that, I have to be cognizant of that. I can't expect, Zaria or even Zindan, for that matter, to come around me and then automatically just fit into the way I live when they haven't been living around me. So I have to kind of give them some time to make adjustments and whatever. But, our bond is like that. I think I've been more of a just more understanding and trying to encourage, my daughter to have a voice, her own voice, and try to find her own voice and how she views life, how she understands things, so I can help with giving her the game or giving her a perspective. Because if you don't really know how they think, sometimes when you give them all the wisdom, sometimes it comes across as preachy, and they don't listen. Yeah, so you got to find a way to engage conversations with your daughter that they see value in it. And a lot of times it's hard to do this as a parent because most parents don't allow their kids to talk, but they just tell them what to do or tell them how to be. And sometimes it's good to kind of listen to your kids and try to figure out where their mind is. And, like Dee was saying, creating a space, an environment where your kids can actually share things with you. And Zara and I, we've been that, when things get really, really heavy for my daughter, she just called me and just started talking, and I just let her go, and I have to almost suppress my natural self because, I want to fix it. You know what I'm saying? I want to, hey man, this is what you do. Nah, this is what you do. Like I want to be, oh man, that's just game. Nah, that ain't how that work. I be wanting to so busy trying to fix it that really the power in that whole process is like just allowing them to be heard. Because that a lot of times kids don't get heard. They just get so busy people telling them what they're doing or if they're doing something right or wrong. But they never get a chance to just kind of let go and vent. We had T.I., so you know what I'm saying, coming up. Well, we had a place where, that kind of thing wasn't frowned upon. But, when you look back at it, you don't really have a whole lot of opportunities to have that type of dialogue with people. Like, people don't be boxing out hours out of day to listen to you vent and talk and all that kind of stuff. That don't happen. Right. So these kids don't have a lot of opportunities, to talk to people, express themselves and things like that. So my relationship with Zaria, man, has been just that. We've been watching her grow up and watching her evolve into her little, this young lady that she's becoming. And then me, having to put on different hats in the relationship. Sometimes I got to be the buddy. Sometimes I got to be, no. The answer is no. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hell no.
No and hell no. Yeah, sometimes it's that. And then sometimes it's Dad, I just need to talk. And she don't say it like that. She'll just call and say, guess what, Dad? And then I know in my brain, I say, okay, let me turn off the TV. Let me block out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Let me just get quiet, pay attention, because she about to tell you some shit. You know what I'm saying? So let me get my dad hat on and try to, help her navigate through whatever it is. So it's a special relationship for dads because, you connect with your daughter. You always want to protect them and make sure that, their worlds, their lives are perfect. That's your ideal, but life ain't like that. So then you got to kind of go through it with them. And no one's going to ever, the hardest thing about girls, man, there ain't nobody else that's going to love your daughter like you love her. I mean, no other person, no other man, and it almost sets your kids up for like failure. You know what I'm saying? Like in relationships, because, no one's coming into your life to be your daddy. They coming in your life.
Exactly.
They coming in your life to be they coming in your life to be a partner, and so I hadn't had to have that conversation yet. She's young, but I anticipate that would be a conversation, and that's what I'm looking forward to, because my experience is a lot of times, women be trying to marry their daddies, and that ain't quite. You're not supposed to marry your daddy, yo. So anyway,
hey, it's that conversation is coming, dog.
Hey, yeah, that's another podcast right there.
Another podcast. Hey. Because, a lot of us have been in relationships, and I'm not talking about anybody specifically now, but a lot of us have
I mean, no disrespect, but I'm a disrespect.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, man. My bad. Go ahead.
See how you set that up?
Yeah, man.
I'm just saying, a lot of us have experienced, people, places and things where that has been an issue,
right?
As women, as little girls evolve into women, that dynamic plays out in a lot of relationships, adult relationships, because of that relationship with the father, whether it was good or bad, plays out in lives of these kids when they become adults, and it's that dad issue. And I'm gonna just leave it there. Is a big issue,
right.
And to the point where people say she got daddy issues. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So whenever they give a social awareness issue, like, and they call it a dad issue, I mean, that's big. You know what I'm saying? And I think that comes from that relationship with your daughter, and then also helping them understand. Helping them get to a place where they understand the importance and the value of having a father, and then where that line is. And, father, there's a line there. The line you got to kind of, draw the line in the sand and say, okay, Dad, you're a dad, and you're the only dad I'm ever had. Can't recreate that no way else. Amen. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point.
Good job.
I think, I know, right? Yeah, I remember having conversations with y'all once we found out, that we were having a daughter, and I was like, man, they didn't tell me it's gonna be like this. Like, Skylar is just like, I mean, that's my heart, man. That she is something else, and it's like, I want everything to be perfect for her, and I mean, everything can't be perfect for her, obviously. But, how I handle her and how I handle her brothers, two different things. It's funny because we were having dinner as a family, and I think Cameron said something about somebody being the favorite, and Dion looked over. He said, "Man, everybody knows Skylar's the favorite." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And so I'm smiling, and it's like, "Dad, we all know Skylar's your favorite child." I was like, "I don't have a favorite child," and it's like, "Dad, stop lying." And I was like, "No, I'm not. I'm being serious." I said, "I love all of you." They said, "No, they ain't about love." They said favorites, and I was like, I mean, like, they really caught me in a lie, and I mean, she is just something else, and I just the bond that we have is very special, and I want that to continue to grow. And she's like my little best friend, and we talk, and we get. And I mean, like, I can't go anywhere. If I go somewhere, Daddy, where you going? Can I go? She wants to go with me. And I remember the other day, I was like, I cooked dinner, and she was like, Daddy, we need some cookies for dessert. I was like, Skylar, I cooked Sunday dinner. I was like, Skylar, we don't need any cookies. She was like, cookies will be a good Sunday dessert. She's like, we don't have any dessert, so we need cookies for dessert. We can go to the store and buy some cookies. And I was like, Skylar, but it doesn't make any sense for us to go. I said, because the store's about to close. No, the store doesn't close until 10. We got time to go and get, and it was like 7. She was like, we got time to go get some cookies. And I'm like, Skylar, no, I'm not going. And she said, well, why? I said, because I'm not going. Man, 10 minutes later, guess who in the car going to the store to get some damn cookies?
Never.
So, I mean, like, I'm like, okay, I need to be able to tell her no on some of this stuff, because because she already knows she got me wrapped, and it ain't, I mean, like, not just me, but me and her brothers, and, she knows how to play all of us, but, she is developing into the young lady that we want her to be, but I constantly, I talk to you guys all the time, so I'm hearing your stories and stuff like that. So you guys with your daughters are where I will be in a few, because I know the switch happens in middle school. And she's far from middle school, but you blink, time just the one thing that we that our parents gave us was time, and we don't have when you're working and you're ripping and running, and you're going to basketball practice and you're going to tennis practice and you're going to piano practice. You providing all these things for your kids. You want that to be, something that they can build themselves on, build their confidence, build their legacy, and what have you. But we have to give them our time too, and like you said, our attention as well. Because a lot of times, you walk in a room, and I know, especially with my oldest, with Dion, I walk in the room, everybody on their cell phone. And then so we have this thing in my house. You can't bring a cell phone to the table. The table, when we eat dinner, we eat breakfast together, no cell phones. Now, if you want to put your cell phone in your pocket, that's fine, but you cannot have a cell phone open at the table, because table time is family time. So, but yeah, this father-daughter bond, man, we've done the father-daughter dances, and man, we did one earlier this school year, man, and we were dancing on the dance floor, and a song came on, man, and she looked up, and it was really, really weird. She looked at me, and the way she was looking at me, I looked down at her, and all I saw was, and she had on a red dress, but all I saw was a white dress. And I literally saw like me and her dancing at her wedding. And I was like, man, I had to snap out of it. Next thing I know, a little tear was about to come out my eye. And I'm like, man, hold up. Like, I left that room, and I was almost into the future. And I was like, no, this can't happen. Like, I ain't ready for this. But yeah, it's a special bond, man. I mean, my sons, I'm Rambo on them. I'm hard on them, but I'm softer than a cookie on her, man. It's and I don't like it, but that's what it is. I can't help it at this point. But
I wonder, Kate. I wonder if she was the oldest, would you feel the same way?
Probably.
Because I know how you work with the boys before she got here, and I've never heard you say tears and weddings and those type of words. I just wondered if it would have been different if she was the oldest.
I'm just trying to get them out the house in college and out of my pockets. Like we and Sharice and I have joked, like we'll send them to any school across the country. Skylar, no, you going to Spelman. Like, you ain't going too far. Because my heart just can't take it. And I mean, I'm going through, we about to see what's about to happen with my niece, because my niece is about to go off to college. So I don't know how my brother, and that's my brother's oldest child, that's his only daughter. And so I'm interested to see how he's going to be, because I know the bond he has with his daughter. And my niece is like his everything, and she's my everything. So he going to be a mess. And so, you just, but like you said, you value the time, and because, you blink and the time does fly by. And, fatherhood is a beautiful thing. And it's something that, we don't necessarily always get right, but we try our best to get right every day. And, being able to see the mistakes that you made as a father, and then, kind of try to rectify them each day and get better each day. So yeah, man, that's the podcast, man. Before we get out of here, y'all got anything y'all want to plug? Tell people where they can find y'all at. Do you got a new album coming out?
Okay. I'm working on some joints with RO. There's a couple of joints to work on. Nothing. I don't have any solo joints I'm working on right now. I'm kind of slacking in my craft, but I'm doing some collabs with RO and another little rapper. I'm doing some stuff with y'all know, before y'all know what's up with that. But other than my stuff, I'm writing, but I'm not writing specifics. I'm just taking notes.
Okay, gotcha. Zell, what about you? Anything popping with you?
No, man. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got nothing to plug, nothing to say. I'm on Twitter, EazyDuzItVa. I think that is Twitter. I don't know what
that's Twitter.
What's my IG? The same thing.
I think it's the same.
Man. But you supposed to know that. I mean, you posted. You want to know what you posted.
He posted a picture. He posted a picture of a hat last night. I just want to point that out.
Hey, man, some things
can't. Late night drop. I peeped the late night drop.
I peeped it. I was like, a hat? Really, my Chief? Okay.
Hey, you can't. Everything can't be televised. You know what I'm saying?
I know that's right. Hey, real quick before we get out of here, I just thought of this. Most important lessons that your father taught you. I'll start first. I guess the most important thing my dad taught me. He says 3 things you got to give a child: love, discipline, and an example to follow. Those are 3 things that he said somebody told him right before I was born, and he did a great job in that. So those are the 3 things that I try to impart upon my kids, and that's my goal. D, what about you? One of the things that you learned from your father?
I think one of the main things Dwight might have taught me, man, was like have strong, grounded fundamentals and stick to them. Don't ever like curve yourself to fit into something that you're not comfortable with. Be comfortable with who you are and stick to that. Always stick to who you are at your core, no matter what.
What about you, Zell?
What you gonna do about it?
I can hear your dad saying that.
Yeah, man, that was, you know what I mean? You can complain all you want. And he gonna always, the next thing he gonna say is, what you gonna do about it? How you gonna solve it? How you gonna fix it? That was him, man. So, yeah, man, that was the lesson, man. You got to figure out what you're going to do. You can't stay stuck in the emotion of it being wrong and bad and all that. You got to figure out what you're going to do about it. So that's, I tell my kids the same thing when they come in with their complaining and every life ain't perfect. My question to them is, what you going to do about it?
Hey, man, if your kids ever hit you with it's not fair.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, I thought I was the only one. I'm like, man, life ain't fair.
Yeah, no, man. My daughter going through changing schools and not being able to go to high school. Zara going to 9th grade next year.
Wow.
And she's not going to the school of her choice. She moved to Suffolk, and now she has to start a new high school where she knows she doesn't know anybody. So the anxiety has kicked in, nonetheless, and everybody's fault. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, but you got to put yourself in her shoes now. If you didn't go to Wilson and you had to transfer and go to, I don't know, Lake City, you'd be mad as hell too.
I would be mad. And you know what I told her? I said, I apologize. I said, guess what? I went to the same schools that all my friends went to my whole life.
Right.
So I can't relate to walking into an environment and not knowing anybody. Like, I can't relate. You know what I'm saying? My mama taught at the school I went to, high school, for God's sake. So right. I never had that anxiety of, oh my gosh, I don't know anybody. Like, I ain't never had that. So, but yeah, man. So my thing is, I always give my daughter the same story. I tell her when she was maybe around 5 or 4, we took her to swimming. They told her to jump in the pool. And then the guy was going to see how she could swim without him helping her. Mm-hmm. And then she felt like she was going to drown. She jumped out of the pool and she cried and didn't want to get back in. So we didn't force her to go back in the pool. But then years later, I told Zara, I said, look, we're going to get back in this pool because I don't like quitting on stuff and you ain't going to quit. So we're going to get back in this pool. Now, to this day, dog, This girl jumping in 12 feet, cutting fish, all up and down. And I always use that as an example of how things are hard in the beginning, and then you end up conquering your fears, and then you ultimately end up being successful. That's I kind of gave her that same speech about going to a new place. You ain't gonna know nobody, but after the first day, you're gonna know one more person than you knew yesterday, and it's just gonna keep growing. So you just gotta, not be scared to take the step. Now, I know we was closing the podcast, so
no, we're about to close. We good.
But I go for another hour. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I'll go for another hour if I ain't know Westbrook and Damian Lillard was about to fight tonight. So I ain't gonna miss that tonight. I might have to stay and watch that whole one tonight, baby.
Watch that game. Yeah. But yeah, as always, man. First and foremost, man, thank y'all for coming on like y'all always do, man. All I gotta do is just ask and y'all on. So I definitely appreciate it, and definitely want to appreciate everybody who listens and supports the podcast. These are two of my boys, so this is light work. This is just a regular convo with us. This is how we are all the time, 24/7. So thank you for checking out the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. So for my man Dluvhall, for my man EazyDuzItVa, I'm your boy 12 Kyle. We'll catch you guys next time. 5Gs.
When you manage procurement for multiple facilities, every order matters. But when it's for a hospital system, they matter even more. Grainger gets it and knows there's no time for managing multiple suppliers and no room for shipping delays. That's why Grainger offers millions of products in fast, dependable delivery, so you can keep your facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Today's tip from the injury law firm Greenberg and Betterman. Too many pedestrians lose themselves in their phones and have accidents when they walk. So don't do it. Greenberg and Betterman is here to help you. Contact gblawyers.com, that's gblawyers.com, and feel better.